After 5 long years of anxiously waiting for a continuation to the Darksiders series, Darksiders 3 is finally on its way. Hey guys, it's Strangelove here, and many of you who have been around my channel for a long time know how much I love both of the Darksiders games, and just like all of you, I am so excited that Darksiders 3 is finally being made. Now, a lot of people gave up hope on seeing a new Darksiders game in the series simply because we were kept in the dark for so long, but you know what? When Nordic Games rebranded themselves as THQ Nordic, that sparked a hope in me that Darksiders 3 was definitely on the horizon, and apparently that was correct. Now, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with all the juicy Darksiders news, IGN has been posting a handful of Darksiders 3 videos and articles through their IGN First program since they got to actually experience the game hands-on, which I'm definitely jealous of. And these include the announcement trailer as well as a short bit of gameplay. So for this video, I'm going to briefly go over everything we know so far about the third installment to the Darksiders series, along with my own little bit of speculation. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Darksiders 3 features a fierce magenta-haired horseman named Fury, and this is War and Death's older sister, and she's been featured in the Abomination Vault novel, as well as mentioned in the previous games, and I believe she was in the comic as well. So the second her high heels hit the scene in this announcement trailer, all of us Darksiders fans knew immediately that this was going to be all about Fury. Now, to give you some brief context for this reveal trailer, War is still locked up in the Abyss by the Charred Council for prematurely answering the call that started the apocalypse on Earth. He was imprisoned for a good century or so in the Abyss before he was let loose on his journey to seek revenge on those responsible and clear his name in the first Darksiders game. That means that Darksiders 3 is most likely contemporaneous with the events of Darksiders 2, or at the very least, they overlap to some degree. So while Death is busy fighting the corruption in other realms, Fury is going to be busy slaying the deadly sins that have taken over Earth. In this trailer, the Charred Council asks Fury to destroy the 7 deadly sins and basically clean up the mess that her brother started, a task that she accepts with pleasure and surely a bit of bloodthirsty excitement. Fury is known as the Rider of the Black Horse, and she wields a very Bayonetta-like whip as her primary weapon, which we see a lot of in the pre-alpha gameplay featured on IGN. Her whip also seems to retract into the handle, sort of like a lightsaber, so maybe she has to draw upon her magic abilities each time she wants to extend the whip itself. Now, the whip is probably not the only weapon we're going to see Fury use. Both War and Death had a whole arsenal of different weapon types that they use that went beyond their signature weapons, so we could probably expect the same thing from Fury. There's clearly some kind of round blade on Fury's back that looks similar to War's crossblade that hits multiple targets. Plus, in some of the concept art on the website, we see Fury holding a massive hammer, she's got a huge scythe, and also a sword that looks very similar to War's Chaos Eater. Now, these images aren't confirmation of anything, but it wouldn't surprise me if Fury had a whole arsenal of weapons at her disposal, much like her brothers. After all, she is a mage who can supposedly use her magic to unleash various forms that allow her to access new weapons and traversal abilities, so maybe this means that Fury can use magic to utilize the weapons of the other horsemen, letting her wield the magical equivalents of their signature weapons. Besides, War used a scythe that was very similar to Death's, and both War and Death each used one of Strife's 2 revolvers, so it's not much of a stretch to have Fury use her brother's weapons as well. Based on the early screenshots, we also know that Fury meets with Ulthane, the massive maker craftsman who forges mercy for War and also played a role in the untimely apocalypse. His hair is dark, so it kind of threw me off in the early screenshot, but considering Ulthane is on Earth and that's where Fury is going, it makes sense for this to be Ulthane and not some other maker blacksmith. With that being said, maybe Ulthane will forge a special weapon for Fury as well, and it might just be that circular blade that she's got on her back. We'll just have to wait and see. Now let's talk about what Fury is up against in Darksiders 3. The 7 deadly sins are going to take on physical forms as wicked creatures that embody the sin they represent, and we actually get to see one of these sins in the IGN gameplay that was released earlier. In the gameplay, she fights Sloth, Lord of the Flies, who appears as this grotesque, beetle-like creature who relies on his little bug minions to defend him while he sits on his underground subway lair. Like the previous Darksiders games, I imagine there's probably a huge dungeon associated with each sin that you have to fight your way through first, and these would be full of environmental puzzles to solve and monstrous enemies to battle along the way. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Darksiders games are greatly influenced by the structure of the older Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, where you have distinct puzzly dungeons with bosses for each. So at the very least, we'll probably get 7 of these dungeons in Darksiders 3, one for each of the deadly sins. Now, of course, there's also a formula for defeating each boss, and as we see in the IGN gameplay, Sloth needs to first be knocked off his throne by destroying the minions that carry him underneath. This causes Sloth to become enraged enough to hop off and start fighting, and watching this fight, it actually reminded me a lot of the Toad Prince boss fight in the Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone DLC, because both of these bosses like to jump up and slam on the ground and make broad sweeping swings for their attacks. As far as the combat goes, we really only see Fury showing off her whip skills in this gameplay, and even then there's not a whole lot of variation to her moves besides the occasional cartwheel that she does as her evasive maneuver. It's understandable though, because this is still really early pre-alpha gameplay footage, and Darksiders 3 isn't supposed to come out until 2018, so there's still plenty of time for them to add more to the game. And not only is this an early stage of development, but at this point in the gameplay, maybe it's such an early part where Fury just hasn't acquired any special weapons or abilities just yet, or they just don't want to spoil that kind of stuff for us this early on, which is totally fine with me. What I ultimately want from Darksiders 3 is actually more of the same, and by that I mean I want the game to feel familiar and be recognizably a Darksiders game, with fluid combat that creates a signature playstyle for each character. When you play as War, he swings hard and he makes powerful, precise strikes that make you feel like a total badass. Death, on the other hand, is much more acrobatic, and you can chain combos together with his scythes in a way that makes the combat feel really satisfying. With Fury, I'm hoping that her magical abilities pair well with her whip and her weapon combos to make an equally satisfying experience that's uniquely her own but still in that signature Darksiders art style, and I have faith that Gunfire Games can pull this off. I'm particularly optimistic because Darksiders 3 is also being made in the Unreal Engine, which I presume means Unreal Engine 4, and if that's the case, it will not only look great, but it should also feel like a good hack and slash should. Now besides the combat, I'm really looking forward to some challenging dungeon puzzles because I love a game that focuses on environmental puzzles regardless of whether or not they make sense in the world, and I think the IGN hands-on impressions actually mentioned that Darksiders 3 is going to incorporate the puzzle elements more smoothly into the environment, which is great, but for me personally, I love environmental puzzles in open world type games, and I actually wish more games would do it, but I'm sure there's going to be some great puzzles in Darksiders 3, so I'm not worried. Speaking of which, Darksiders 3 is also going to be an open world game, and it's not clear what they mean by that just yet, though from what we've heard from IGN's hands-on impressions, they said that each region is connected in sort of a Swiss cheese style where you can get a glimpse of the next area you're trying to get to as you're working through a section, giving you sort of something to look forward to as you go. And based on their description, it reminded me a lot of how the first Dark Souls is structured, where each section of the world is really interconnected and sort of seamlessly transitions from one area to the next, except this time with more verticality to make use of Fury's traversal capabilities. Fury allegedly battles from the heights of heaven down to the depths of hell, at least according to the website, which means we'll probably get a visit from some familiar characters like Uriel and Samael as well. And considering this takes place while War is still imprisoned, there's a good chance that Fury is going to meet a lot of the same characters that War ended up meeting during his time on Earth. Overall, Darksiders 3 is looking really promising, and I'm looking forward to learning more about Fury and her role in this whole post-apocalyptic plot in the coming month. And now that Darksiders has finally been announced, I've got a lot of ideas brewing for different Darksiders content here on my channel, so be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of my uploads. Feel free to leave me a comment down below with your different plot theories and what you're looking forward to the most in Darksiders 3, because I want to hear from you guys as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, stay strange my loves, and I will catch you guys at the next video.